Welcome back to the Bitcoin price prediction and stock market weekly report with me, Cameron Fous, veteran trader for the last 20 years who's made millions of dollars trading stocks, forex, and crypto. Now, the purpose of this series is to show you exactly what a professional trader, myself, is doing with his $1 million portfolio so that you, in turn, can watch what I'm doing and hopefully make better and more informed trading decisions so you can become a more profitable trader. Now, listen up, guys and girls. This is extremely time-sensitive information. If you do not have the subscribe and more importantly, notifications bell button turned on, you might miss these time-sensitive alerts so that you won't be able to act on the things that I have to say, as I'm going to be giving you the highest probability setups for this week. Let's get to it. Again, this is just not financial advice. This is what I'm doing with my $1 million portfolio. Now, let's just take a look at Bitcoin first, then we're going to go into Ethereum. Then we're going to look at the dollar and how that's being affected by gold as well. Then we're going to go look at the NASDAQ and NVIDIA that we saw a massive run this week on the NVIDIA earnings. It's been absolutely crazy. A lot of people got squeezed out. I did get stopped out on my short on NDX 100. I am back in. We'll get all into that nitty gritty right now. And I'm back into profitability after I was slightly down briefly last week. So let's just take a look at what happened on Bitcoin. As of right now, it's been a crazy week, not only because it looks like we're going to break down this head and shoulders pattern that we had the left shoulder, the top, and also the right shoulder here, and then the neckline that was drawing across here, of which we broke down here, failed to see any sort of follow through, retested this level that was now resistance, looking like we were coming back down into a potential breakdown, but nope, we saw a big spike to the upside on basically the US stock market, seeing a massive pump to the upside. But now we actually retested this descending resistance and we're now back down below the bearish level of the head and shoulders pattern. So now we're back into a bearish setup here on Bitcoin right now. I did have a position that I opened up at about 27.5, of which I got stopped out for break even right around here. And then I started adding again small as we pushed into this level. You can see I had a grid of orders basically open between about 28,000 upwards of 28.6. Not a big position, just 1.4 Bitcoin short, only $40,000 for me here on this position, but I'm slightly up on it right now. I had a much bigger, about $300,000 position, looking for the potential this washout right here. I was up like 20 grand on the lows here. I didn't lock any of the gains, maybe about $1,000, and then stopped out for break even. So we'll see what happens here on Bitcoin as of right now. But right now, I still think this has a lot more downside potential, all the way down to about 24K. If we look at my Hydra funding account right now, guys, you can see I'm still short Bitcoin from over 30,000. These are small positions, but I still have been locking in gains every step of the way down. You can see I locked in gains on this spike to the downside, I locked in gains on these lows as well, and I still have open positions here looking for more downside potential on Bitcoin from these sells that I got in short over 30K. Also on that Bybit account, guys, I was short heavy over $30,000 and I locked in about $40,000 in profits on this first initial spike. As of right now, guys, looking at Bitcoin, as long as we stay below this descending now channel and descending resistance, I do believe we have a high probability coming back down to about 25K minimum, and then the higher probability area to potentially buy for a short-term dip buy as well as cover these shorts would be between about 22.6 and this pivot here at about 23.7. We also have a little bit of an ascending trend support coming in here, which would also create some confluence right around this range around 22 to 23.8 as well. So that could definitely be a high confluence area to potentially be locking in those gains. You can also see it would be an area where we might come back down and retest the lower range of this channel that we have formed up here. Now we have 1, 2, and that would be a third tap of that lower channel, which also is in confluence with this ascending trend line. So about 23.8 to 24K, I think is going to be a high probability area to be locking in a lot of our short profits and potentially in for a short-term dip buy for then another retest back up to about 26 to 27K on Bitcoin. So that's the Bitcoin chart right now. If we look at Ethereum, guys, this was looking like a potential breakout over the descending trend that we have now forming up, of which was breaking out slightly above it. But now that we just saw literally within the last like hour or so, we saw a big sell-off across the board in crypto. Look at this on the 15-minute chart, just a big washout here. Not sure what the news was. I haven't exactly looked at what happened in the last hour, but from a technical standpoint right now, it is selling off back down below that actual descending trend, which is still forming up this bearish pattern. As of right now, and I still believe we're probably heading back down to at least 1680, and also we have the confluence of this ascending trend as well, of which would be a good area to be potentially buying the dip for a short-term pop to the upside, as well as covering your shorts if you still have shorts open, of which I do still have a short position open, just a small one on Ethereum. You can see I'm still short from the top here on Ethereum, just a small position. You see I locked in most of my gains here. On the way down, I did get stopped out for break-even profits on some of my positions that I shorted here, and now I still have this small baby position short open, of which I'm still looking for a potential dip down to lows below this recent lows on Ethereum. If we look at the US dollar, guys, again, as I said a couple weeks ago, as we were breaking out this level about 101, the next major resistance level that we could see is all the way up at 105, of which if we get back up to 105 and create a bull trap, a level over here, if we spike over this level, that could be a good opportunity to start shorting the dollar for a potential pullback as well, which could also potentially signal the bottom for gold. As of right now, gold is now retesting the ascending trend right here. On the third level, we have the confluence from this pivot right here, as well as the ascending trend coming in right here. Now, this is potentially an area where it could now bounce and retest this level, but we still have quite a ways to go here on the US dollar to come all the way up to 105s, of which if that did happen, I do believe gold is going to see a dip below this trend where we could see an accelerated spike potentially between 1890s all the way down to about 1800, of which in this range right here would be a much higher probability and better dip buy. And if we still continue to look back at the long-term trend, looking back at like the weekly chart here, this would be a screaming buy if we came back down and retested this ascending support level of about 1700. Either way, I think buying in this range down here is going to be a solid long-term dip buy for gold, of which I have no long exposure as of right now on gold. But if we start seeing some accelerated selling pressure back down to about 19 to 1800, I would consider start adding to a small position on gold for the eventual breakout over about 2070, which then would push us probably to 2500 to 3000 on gold. Now, looking at NASDAQ futures, guys, what a fucking rip. Crazy rip, okay? And I got stopped out. I took about a 40K hit on this position for my short on the NASDAQ because I initially started adding to NASDAQ down here as we were retesting this descending resistance here, right? I was thinking, okay, if we can get this level right here, possibly spike back up, bull trap everyone right here, and then get that nice big washout, retest lows, and potentially even go lower. That's not what happened. We did see a massive bull flag that broke out to the upside, broke out these highs, and now retesting this big pivot from back over here at about 14,500. The high here was about 14,536. Now, what's interesting to see, guys, is this is a crazy analysis of which, yes, I did get stomped out, but I am back in short on NASDAQ. If we look at my Hydra account here, you can see that I'm now back in short. I've been adding in this level here. As we've been spiking on this level here, I was adding the short the whole time. I fucking stopped out right here. Just that day was a big day. That was the day that NVIDIA saw that massive spike to the upside, of which I also added to my short position on NVIDIA. After I shorted here, here, and here, I got stopped out right here. And I said, listen, guys, earnings is coming out. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm already heavily short across the board, but I don't want that exposure on NVIDIA's earnings because it's super unpredictable when earnings come out on a stock. I've been doing stocks for almost 20 years, and holding through earnings is never a good idea. There's a 50-50 chance it's a make or break trade, which is not a good risk reward. So I decided, you know what? I'm not going to try to reshort this. I'm going to take my stop and then reevaluate the situation after earnings, of which I did. Now I added short here and then added short here when NASDAQ was spiking up to about 14,500. You can see I'm actually now up about 61K in profits on this account right now, open profits, right? But my equity, my balance is back down to about 199 and my equity is 260. Now, just before the NASDAQ and NVIDIA earnings just came out, my account was on all-time highs at about 305,000. So I got about 40K to go basically to make up for that big loss on, you can see my losses here. I stopped down on Apple, stopped down on NDX 100, stopped down on Meta. On all those, that took a big loss for me, but I think we're nearing the top. I've repositioned myself after that, took those losses. I'm now reevaluated the situation from a new perspective. Now that we have seen that over the top, blow off top that we can basically look at and say, this is looking like a blow off top for NASDAQ. And here's something that's extremely, extremely interesting that I want you guys to see. If we look back at the 1999-2000 internet NASDAQ bubble, we saw a 40% retracement from the top, followed by a 43% rally. So literally the percentage amount from the first initial pullback, there was a basically similar almost exactly the same rally of percentage points, 43% right after that. Now, what happens next after this is whatever this percentage point is that went down and then back up, it literally pulls back double. So now 80% decline from that peak here. Now, that's a pattern. Now let's look at what happened in the 2008 financial crisis. Is it something similar? Let's take a look. We saw a 25% pullback from the top of the 2008-2007 bull run, followed by a 23% rally. So literally the same amount of percentage that it pulled back, it rallied almost basically the same exact amount to the upside. Now, last time it doubled this rally / decline level. So 23%, 25% times 2, what happened? It pulled back 50%. So 25% times 2, 50%. Okay, it happened twice in a row. Let's take a look at what's now happening here on the NASDAQ as we go forward. We saw the initial 37% decline from the top. Guess what happened? We just hit a 38% rally from the top. Now, so simultaneously, right after that 30% decline, we are matching it yet again with a 38%, which just topped out this week, hitting that number. Now, timesing that by 2, we're going to potentially see a 75% decline from that top, which would be suggesting about a 3,500 point target for the NASDAQ. Now, is that going to happen? I don't know, but that's exactly what happened in the last 2 bear markets that we have seen since 2000 and 2008, and now we've seen this bear market pull back at 37%. The simultaneous same exact percentage point pullback, we're now seeing the simultaneous same exact percentage rally, followed by potentially 2x this amount to the downside. So this is something very interesting that we have to factor in and definitely take note of as we're looking at what's going on in the NASDAQ. And yes, I am short. I started building up my short position again, which is also the 61% Fibonacci level from the top here as well. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually plays out for the NDX 100 as we push into these levels up here, of which I believe this is definitely going to be a short-term top so we can take advantage of. What happens long-term? It's still semi-unsure. So that's the NASDAQ, guys. If we look at the US 30, this is still looking absolutely beautiful. We saw no pivot to the upside, faking everyone out. Now the NASDAQ is looking extremely toppy, and the US 30 is looking like it's getting ready to make that move to retest the lower boundaries of this channel at about 26,600, of which I'm still heavily short the US 30. As you can see, I have all these open positions still in profits on the US 30. And I do believe we're going to retest these lows and potentially go all the way back down here and potentially retest the low of that channel down 26.5. UK 100, guys, look at this beautiful chart as we are getting a massive sell-off on the weekly chart to the downside, similar to the US 30. We did not see any sort of euphoric spike on the AI bullshit from NVIDIA in the UK stocks. We're continuing to see a downside spike. I believe we're going to be pushing all the way back down to 68.30, potentially even lower from there. You can see I'm still heavily short the UK 100, and I'm deep in profits on all my positions currently on the UK 100. SPX 500, guys, this has also been a little bit of a doozy. I've been close to potentially thinking about stopping out of this position short term. We're still in this ascending channel as of right now, but I do believe if the NASDAQ has officially topped, which based on past history, it looks like it has around 14.5, I do believe the NASDAQ is coming back down and retesting at least 4,000 and potentially breaking this channel to the downside and going to continue to go lower and also potentially see new lows on the year all the way down to 33.75 or so to test this pivot level. You can see I'm still short SPX 500. I'm in negative territory as of right now on SPX 500, but I do believe that these positions are going to continually drop and I'm going to get into profit soon. I just re-added short on NDX 100 about 4,200 just a couple days ago. Also, guys, I'm still short Euro Stocks 50. I think that this is definitely looking like a huge double top, and we're going to potentially come all the way back down to the 3,300s on Euro Stocks 50. Also, guys, check out my position here on the German 30. We have a huge double top potentially in play. Try to fake everyone out over the top of which I shorted right at the top. I think we're definitely at least coming back down to test these pivots around 14,200 to 13,900. I do believe that's going to be an area to be locking in gains, of which I will. I'm still not in a huge position, but I'm in profits about 5K on this current position for the German 30. That's a wrap for today's video, guys. Again, this is very time-sensitive information. Definitely hit the subscribe and, more importantly, the notification bell if you want to get alerted as soon as these videos go live. If you want to get my alerts for when I'm actually buying and selling any position, not just the indices, but when I'm in and out of individual stocks or in individual cryptos or forex, I have a Telegram group called the Wolf Pack where I do everything in real time. And you also get exclusive private video online updates for me talking about the actual positions I'm in. There's going to be a link below for that. And of course, I do have a training course showing you my entire trading system called Krypton and Decrypton. Anyways, guys, that's a wrap for today. I'll see you guys in the next one.